sure. I refuse to be sure. Am I sure? No, never sure. Mute this, mute that. No, folks. Things are as they seem. You know, you sit down to record a new episode of your podcast, and things go a little awry. I had to of course, I had to update my computer because unlike some people I know, unlike some people I know, I believe in updating my systems as needed. And well, something went hinky, and I had to re-add my microphone onto every, into the recording. For some reason, the input wasn't there, so I had to re-input everything. So luckily, I'm an old hand to this. I know what I'm doing. So, got my phone set up here. I'm going to use the restroom real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Yeah. Sweater season started again. Actually, it's not that bad outside. It's in the 60s at least. You know, we don't have the wind that we had yesterday. I had to do yard work yesterday, but that wasn't going to happen. It's just too freaking windy. It would just blown everything to Kingdom Come. Anyway, let's get down to business. All right. Show notes. Ah, me me ma moo moo, me me ma moo moo, Me, may, ma, mo, moo. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Gotta warm up your mouth. I used to sing, yeah. So I gotta do that. Alright. Let's see here. The viewers, so we're set. I never expect any viewers. Alright, let's get it on. Three, two, one. Tonight, Chris Hemsworth, once in on Star Wars, Star Trek Discovery finds a broadcast home in the UK, and the Red Dwarf flies again on this edition of Multiverse Tonight. Comic books, sci-fi, fantasy, and more. If you're looking for a roundup of geeky news, you're in the right place. This is Multiverse Tonight. And here's your host, Thomas Townley. Hello again, and welcome to the sci-fi edition of Multiverse Tonight. You know, do you like my voice in the intro there? Because I've actually found a person to re-record that intro. So you know, I'm going to be putting that together in the coming weeks, but. You know, anyway, how's it going for you? Can you believe we're halfway through October already? This month just seems to fly by. I'm already putting on my sweaters. You know, had to turn the heat on because getting a few days below a few nights below freezing, and well, I guess that's a good thing. You know. We are just a month away from the Disney Plus launch, but it doesn't look like it's going to be on a lot of platforms. Mostly looks like Apple TV, Xbox, PlayStation, and Google Chromecast. You know, you can take it from your phone and cast it anywhere. But they still haven't made a deal with Amazon that's acceptable to both parties. You know, I really do hope they iron that out before launch, because I don't want to have to move my Chromecast from the TV in the office to the TV in the living room just to watch, all these new shows. Anyway, I have some good news. The next sci-fi edition of the podcast will have an interview with the Orville associate producer and editor, Tom Costantino. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some good insights out of him on the season. They just started filming this week, so that will be something to look forward to. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into some Star Wars news.
Roger, roger.
Roger, roger indeed. Chris Hemsworth would love to add another franchise notch onto his big belt of franchises. He's been in a Star Trek movie, been in Black movie, Ghostbusters, and of course, Marvel. He's even shown up in Kevin Smith's latest View Askew universe movie, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, and I must say it was a very funny cameo. If you get a chance to see the movie, go see it. It's great referential humor. At the Ace Comic Con Midwest, Chris was asked if he'd want in on the Star Wars franchise, on a show or a movie, and his answer was, quote, "Oh yeah, I'd love to. I'm not sure there's many people that say they wouldn't want to be a part of that world, and especially having it be something I've grown up with like all of us here, probably. It'd be like a fan experience as opposed to being an actor, and that's the fun thing at this point of cinema and my career," unquote. Maybe you could play a warlord or a ruler of a planet with great lightning storms. Yes? No? Two on the nose? What do you think? The journey to the rise of Skywalker is getting fleshed out via comics and books. The latest is the new comic Journey to Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker Allegiance, which will see the remains of the Resistance setting up base in the Anoet system. Here's a trivia note for you. Anoet was one of the possible locations Leia mentioned going to in The Empire Strikes Back. Here's the blurb for the 4-issue series. Hounded by the First Order across the galaxy, the Resistance is in dire need of ships, weapons, and recruits to make a final stand against Kylo Ren's forces. Desperation drives a delegation led by General Leia Organa and Rey to retreat to the rebel veterans' one-time allies, the Mon Calamari, to join the fight. But decades after Imperial occupation enslaved their planet, those that are willing to stop at nothing to prevent another war from bloodying the wars of Mon Cala. A system away, Poe Dameron and Finn have their own mission to hunt down a weapons cache on the remote moon of Avedot, unaware that they are being hunted by the most notorious criminal gang in the galaxy. Unquote. The first issue is out right now. And in the new young adult Skywalker novel, Force Collector by Kevin Schneck, we find the adventures of Nak Med, a Jedi who survived Order 66, but the dark times before that, and he was still alive before the events in The Force Awakens. He will apparently become the guide for the subject of the book. Here's the quote. Carr is a teenage boy like many others in the galaxy, but he has a secret. When he touches certain objects, he gets visions of people he doesn't know and places he's never been. Carr's grandmother's convinced the visions come from the Force. But are there any Jedi left to guide Carr in the use of his abilities? Accompanied by Maze, the unpredictable new girl at school, and RZ-7, Carr's droid companion, he sets off into the larger galaxy to find the truth. High adventures will take him from Utapu to Jakku to Takodana and beyond as he learns more about the Jedi than he could ever have expected, and about his own place in the Force. Unquote. The book, which is part of the Journey of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker series, is also out now. The runtime for The Rise of Skywalker has been discovered. According to a post on Reddit from a theater worker, the film should come in at 2 hours and 35 minutes, making it just a few minutes longer than The Last Jedi. Now, let's be clear here that we don't have the official length, but it does seem that this is correct, as theaters like to have showtime scheduled out so they know exactly when to staff up. The film comes out on December 20th. And if you're planning a marathon session before you go see the movie, Disney Plus will have plenty for you to watch. The streaming service released a list of everything that will be on the service on day 1, and on November 12th, all the Star Wars will include The Mandalorian, all the movies, the documentary Empire of Dreams, the story of the Star Wars trilogy, and the animated series, The Clone Wars seasons 1 to 5, The Clone Wars, The Lost Missions, Rebels all seasons, Resistance season 1, Lego Star Wars: The New Yoda Chronicles, Clash of the Skywalkers, Lego Star Wars Droid Tales, Lego Star Wars: The Freemaker Adventures all seasons, and Lego Star Wars All Stars. The conclusion to Clone Wars will be out in February, and much more is planned for the new year. Now, let's move over to the Star Trek news. Now, the second season of Picard is in the works, and Alex Kurtzman had an interview with TrekCore. He said that season 1 had wrapped at the end of August, and second season that had been I'm going to just do this again because my script makes no friggin' sense. Hold on.
Roger, Roger.
The second season of Star Wars The second season of Picard is in the works, says Og Kurtzman in an interview with TrekCore. Season 1 wrapped at the end of August, and the second season had been hinted at by series star Patrick Stewart, but this now confirms it. The first season will launch on CBS All Access on January 23rd, 2020. Star Trek's original captain, William Shatner, took a moment to tweet a reminder of what Star Trek is all about, saying, quote, "A word. At Star Trek, the vision of the show from the beginning was to highlight social problems and stigmas in a way that makes you give it some thought. It may be controversial to some, but it presents issues in an abstract enough way to encourage conversation. That hasn't changed." Unquote. You know, he's right. In fact, most of the good science fiction is a way to make us think about things with an interesting story. You know, kind of like a story burrito or putting a pill in a piece of cheese for your dog. You know, just something to think about. The more you know. Good news to my listeners in the United Kingdom. Star Trek Discovery will have a broadcast TV home, but with a caveat. Discovery, which is in its third season, will still debut new episodes on Netflix. Channel 4 will debut the show on the channel in 2020, starting with Season 1. They'll also be getting the Matt LeBlanc show Man with a Plan, which is still a thing. CBS Studios International President of Sales said in a statement, quote, "We're excited to bring the linear television rights for Star Trek Discovery to the international market and launch in the UK with our valued friends at Channel 4. This agreement features the best of both worlds, premium subscription content from a global franchise, and a very popular network comedy from America's most watched network. Channel 4 is already a licensee for several of our top-rated franchises, including The Good Fight and Charmed, and we are confident that they will have continued success with Star Trek Discovery and Man with a Plan." Unquote. Anis Abdin, the creator of the Tardigrade game, for which he sued and lost to CBS over copyright infringement, has appealed the ruling, and a GoFundMe has been started to help him with the legal costs. Anis wrote on his blog, quote, "I have filed an appeal to the ruling regarding the Tardigrades lawsuit. As an independent creator, I found myself with no rights. If I don't have rights, so does everyone else." And he continued, "I have always wished I could carry the financial side alone, but the numbers are getting ridiculously high, and I have exhausted all my resources. I want to expand my defense team with more consultants and technical experts. My dear friend Gary Belcher, Nerdrotic, have helped me set up a GoFundMe page. It is so hard for me to ask for your donations. I have never done that before and never wanted it to come to this point. All I can say is thanks to all of your support from the beginning of this lawsuit." Unquote. Well, we wish him the best of luck. So, we now have a little bit more, we know a little bit more about Star Trek Lower Decks, right? But what about that Nickelodeon animated series that was hinted at? Well, be prepared to wait. In an interview with TrekCore, with producers Heather Cadden and Alex Kurtzman, the series was revealed that it won't even have any footage until 2021 or later. Heather Cadden told TrekCore, quote, "Longer." I was surprised. As someone who makes big live-action shows, I heard how long it was going to take, and I was like, what? Because it's 3D animation, so it just takes that much longer. But the Higman brothers come from Ninjago and Troll Hunters. They're doing it, so it's definitely going to be more in that visual look. Unquote. They also told TrekCore that the series does have a title, but they weren't going to share it just yet. Come on, guys. Give us something. Anything. The title, a wire model of a character, something. So that we don't feel like, you're just yanking our chains. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we'll be right back with Geek News. Hey everyone, we'll get right back to the news, but first, I'd like to tell you about our new affiliate, Stitcher Premium. With Stitcher Premium, you get all your favorite podcasts, but you get them all with no ads. That's right, no audio ads, no banner ads, not even ads on the archives of some of your favorite shows. You also get access to Stitch originals like Marvel's Wolverine, The Long Night, Issa Rae's Fruit, and Colt Cabana's Pro Wrestling Fringe. You also get access to bonus episodes, access to new releases first, and access to the hundreds of comedy albums at your fingertips, and so much more. To get started, just go to Stitcher.com/premium and enter promo code Multiverse for a free month. After that, pay just $4.99 a month, and you can save even more by going yearly for just $34.99. That's nearly a $25 savings over the monthly rate. So go to Stitcher.com/premium and enter promo code Multiverse today. And you really would be helping me out by going to Stitcher.com and subscribing for premium. Use the code Multiverse. And we do get a little kickback from each trial. So if there's nothing else you can do for me, just do that. Set a timer for 30 days. Get sign into the trial with the code Multiverse, and help me help you. Maybe, and you can find stuff you like on there. There's lots of stuff. Anyway, let's get on with the geek news. And we start off with some Matrix 4 news. Can't believe that's actually happening, can you? We already know that Keanu will be back, and now Variety is reporting that Neil Patrick Harris has joined the cast. Role unknown. But maybe there'll be some singing and dancing. Deadline also reports that Jessica Henwick from Marvel's Iron Fist is also in talks for a lead role as well. And Aquaman actor Yahya Abdul-Mateen the second will be there as well. Now, we already know that Carrie-Anne Moss and Jada Pinkett Smith are in discussion to return. And more seem to be joining every day. Now, The Matrix 4, any guess on what they'll be called? My guess is The Matrix Rebooted. It kind of works. It will not be out until 2022, so we have time. Anyway, the CBS All Access production of The Stand has added another big name to its already huge roster of talent. Greg Kinnear is set to play Glenn Bateman, who, according to the press release, is, quote, a widowed professor when the superflu hits. Glenn Bateman was accustomed to a solitary life. When he encounters other survivors, his curiosity is piqued by Mother Abigail's visions, unquote. Kinnear joins James Marsden, Amber Heard, Heather Graham, Odessa Young, Jovan Adepo, Owen Teague, Henry Zaga, Brad William Henke, Ian Bailey, Catherine McNamara, Hamish Linklater, Alexander Skarsgård, and Whoopi Goldberg. The series will be out on CBS All Access in 2020. Now, AMC Entertainment, the company behind AMC Theaters, has announced that they are starting their own on-demand movie service. Yep, because every company needs their own on-demand movie service. AMC's president and CEO Adam Aron said in a release that AMC Theaters On Demand will offer about 2,000 movies for sale or rent after their theatrical release, with prices ranging from $3 to $5.99 to rent and $9.99 to $19.99 to buy. The company is hoping that 20 million AMC Stubs households will also turn to the theater chain for their streaming movie needs as well. So, will you? The guys from The Dwarf are coming back for one more time. The Red Dwarf's official site broke the news that Red Dwarf, the British sci-fi comedy series, would be returning for a made-for-TV movie on Dave TV. Craig Charles, Chris Berry, Danny John Jules, and Robert Llewellyn will be back in their respective roles as Lister, Rimmer, the Cat, and Crichton in an all-new story written by and directed by Doug Naylor. Craig Charles, about the new season, said, quote, "I'm really excited to get back on board with the boys from the Dwarf. I can't wait to discuss Robert's prostate problems, Chris Berry's hip replacement, and have a proper look at Danny's new dentures, whilst they marvel at the agelessness of the Charles physique. I will surely require the services of a chiropractor after dragging these doddering misfits through what promises to be our most epic adventure yet. Dave Lister, the human race's last hope in a hostile universe. God help us, and may the dwarf be with you." Doug Naylor added, quote, "I'm absolutely thrilled to have the opportunity of making more Red Dwarf. UK TV have been a never-ending source of support and encouragement since we first started working together 10 years ago. Can't wait to start shooting a format that I don't think has ever been before. Smoke me a kipper, we're back, and not just for breakfast." Unquote. I love me some Red Dwarf. One of my favorite things. English actor Stephen Moore has passed away. Stephen is best known for his role as Marvin from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, BBC radio series, and the Silurian Eldane during Matt Smith's run on Doctor Who. Moore got his start with The Hitchhiker's Guide in 1978, where he voiced the depressive android for four more series, the TV show, and the audiobooks and records. In addition to Marvin, he voiced Gag Helfront, Frankie Mouse, a whale, and the ruler of the universe. Moore was also a very prolific stage actor, earning the 1983 Laurence Olivier Theatre Award for lead actor for a revival of The Doll's House. He is survived by his 5 children. Stephen Moore was 81 years old. Well, that brings us to the end of another sci-fi edition of Multiverse Tonight. Now, be sure to check us out on social media. We're at Twitter at Multiverse Tom. We're also on Facebook and Instagram as Multiverse Tonight as well. And if you'd like to contribute some money, please visit mtpodcast.com to go to our Ko-fi or Patreon as well. And be sure to visit multiversetonight.com and check out our affiliate marketplace links, the link to our TeePublic store, our show notes, and so many more. Now, if you're a subscriber, please be sure to share us with your friends. And if you're brand new to the show, please be sure to subscribe and leave us with some feedback and let us know how we're doing. Special thanks to Shane Ivers for our intro music and Lobo Loco for our outro theme music. Thanks for watching the sci-fi edition of Multiverse Tonight. We'll be back in just a couple days with the comic book edition. Now, please exit the universe in an orderly fashion. Good night. Multiverse Tonight is a production of Half Baked Genre Productions. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved. Alright, and we're clear from that. That was pretty good. It's the length I like it. I like, yeah. I think if my show is within 20 to 30 minutes, you know, I've hit my sweet spot. I want, you know, I think it's a good idea to always have a show to be something like, you know, like a drive into work. So for me, that's about 30 minutes. So, you know, that's pretty good. Now, let's get set up for the comic book edition. One little have to do here. Whoops. I have to change my stream deck over from sci-fi to comics. Not to do an ad for the stream deck here, but it is the bomb. It is tits. It is a great little, little board. Easy to set up, easy to use. I can switch through inputs easily. I mean, it's great. Anyway. I'll check. I'm just curious here. This is running on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. There's a huge delay there, too. Fascinating. Fascinating, Captain. I don't have time to waste today, do I? I have to take my sister-in-law to the doctor this evening, and I still have to edit this show. So, let's get on with the comic book edition, shall we? We shall. All right. Tonight, Jennifer Aniston complains about superhero movies, Ruby Rose opens up about mental health, and Kevin Smith puts his hands in wet cement on this edition of Multiverse Tonight. Comic books, sci-fi, fantasy, and more. If you're looking for a roundup of geeky news, you're in the right place. This is Multiverse Tonight. And here's your host, Thomas Townley. Hello, and welcome to the comics book edition of Multiverse Tonight. Did you catch have you been watching Watchmen on HBO? As of this recording, the season premiere just aired, and I thought it was pretty good. I would still like like a full backstory. I know, read the comic book. I know I've read the comic book, but that doesn't bring us to the present day. I want to know the history from the end of Watchmen all the way to present day. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. It's been a long day, and it's not getting any shorter. By the way, be sure to tune in to the next episode of Multiverse Tonight. That one will have an interview with the Orville associate producer and editor, Tom Constantino. Hopefully we'll get some, insights about the Orville, and maybe we can, pry open a little bit about this upcoming season. I'm not planning I'm not professing to have miracles, or be able to really pry anything up, but it's worth the effort. Anyway, let's get on with some Marvel news. So, would you like to see an all-female Marvel team-up movie? During a panel at the Ace Comic-Con, Tessa Thompson and Brie Larson talked about wanting to see such a movie come to life and more than just one film. Thompson told the crowd, quote, "I know what I want. No, listen, this is not just because Valkyrie would like to hang out with some of the beautiful, strong, intelligent, fantastic women of the MCU. She would platonically in a team building way. So I want to work together as a team, us women, doing things in a film or two." Unquote. Brie Larson added to that fan support for such a project would really help. Added that fan support for such a project would really help such a project become a reality, saying, quote, "I think that is what we want. We want to see females working together, ideally in their own film, and we really have been saying this a lot, but the more that people talk about it and say they are behind that and are interested in that, higher likelihood is that could happen. People are listening, they're watching." Unquote. In other words, the ball's in your court, people. You want it, you have to ask for it. And while we're on this subject, why not ask for a musical? During the panel, the duo stumbled on the idea of doing an MC musical. Tessa said, quote, "We're not going to do like a musical, like an MCU musical." Unquote. Larson's face lit up and the duo said MC-musical together. Tessa then continued, "Someone call Kevin Feige. I just came up with that right now. That's a brilliant idea. There's a lot of people with musical talents. Tom Holland can do flips and splits and stuff. Okay, I'm going to pitch that. You have Kevin's number, right? I only have his email. I'm going to work on that." Unquote. So, would you like to see a musical? Maybe they can do it for Disney Plus. Do it all singing, all dancing. MC musical. Yeah. No. Anyway, the Hellstrom series on Hulu has an official cast list. Tom Austin and Sidney Lemon will star in the series as Damon and Anna Hellstrom. Joining them will be Elizabeth Marvel as their mother Victoria Hellstrom, Robert Wisdom as the caretaker, Jane Carl and Dr. Louise Hastings, Ariana Guerrero as Gabriella Rossetti, and Ellen Yu as Chris Yen. The series will debut next year, and if you want to look at the character descriptions, I'll have a link to the Deadline.com article in the show notes. Now, to be sure, that is Jane Carl as Dr. Louise Hastings and Ariana Guerrero as Gabriella Rossetti. Yeah, sometimes the words run together. Anyway, people seem to be talking bad about comic book movies right now, aren't they? The latest is Jennifer Aniston. In a new interview with Variety, she bemoaned that she misses a Marvel movie-free industry. When asked why she decided to return to TV with her new Apple TV show, The Morning Show, she responded, quote, "It wasn't until the last couple of years with these streaming services were sort of exploding with this amount of quality that I started to think, wow, that's better than what I just did. And then you're seeing what's available out there, and it's just diminishing in terms of its big Marvel movies, or things that I'm not just asked to do, or really that interested in living in a green screen," unquote. Okay, Jennifer, let's just get one thing straight here. There are more than just CGI-filled Marvel movies out there. Second, perhaps you should choose better movies to star in. You haven't had the greatest choice of movie roles. Maybe you should call up your fellow curmudgeon Martin Scorsese and go and make a great movie with him. Just saying. Anyway, the creator of The Punisher has a message for law enforcement communities out there after a police officer was caught on camera wearing the Punisher logo during an altercation at a community oversight meeting in Dallas. The creator took to Twitter after the incident and tweeted, quote, "Any cop who wears a Punisher logo in his official capacity is identifying law enforcement with an outlaw. These cops are a disgrace to serious police officers everywhere. They show an imbecile level of irresponsibility and should be fired immediately." Unquote. The Punisher, after all, is a vigilante who takes the law into his own hands. This makes him a criminal, no matter what his ultimate intent is. Maybe choose a better character to emulate, like, Captain America, Superman, RoboCop. Writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick have written movies for both Deadpool and Zombieland. Now the pair think that a crossover would be a great idea. At the LA Comic-Con, the duo said, quote, "Deadpool would do great in #Zombieland. He's kind of a zombie himself with the way he heals, and his humor is right on point with these guys. I could see it." Unquote. I could see it. Perhaps they should test it out in the comic book form first. Zombieland Double Tap is out in theaters now. The 1996 Howard the Duck movie is a cult classic and a bit maligned. I've always had a place in my heart for that movie. However, star Tim Robbins thinks there's something lovable about the old film as well. In an interview with Yahoo, Yahoo is still interviewing people. It still exists. Still a thing. The actor said, quote, "To be honest, I think there's a lot of charming things about that film. George Lucas had just done Star Wars, and it was a lot of money, it was on location, and I think it was the first film that the Marvel Universe did, so on paper it felt really great." Unquote. The movie was panned by critics and was considered a bomb. However, in 2014, after a cameo appearance by the character in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, a push for the Duck has snowballed, and now Howard the Duck will have an animated series from writer-director Kevin Smith on Hulu. I am so looking forward to that. Have I told you how much I love Kevin Smith's work? I love Kevin Smith's work. Anyway, writer-director Taika Waititi has raised the possibility that elements from the Jane Foster breast cancer storyline could make their way into the movie. Speaking to Variety's Mac Millican during the press tour for his new movie Jojo Rabbit, the director said that the cancer could make it into the film. Quote, "I think that's a really powerful part of the books. I think it's really cool that she's fighting this thing and there's two battles going on. Personally, I really love that storyline. But whether it ends up in the film is yet to be seen. We're not sure if we're going to do a complete lift of that whole storyline. These things change through the shoot and even when we're editing sometimes. Like, let's get rid of that storyline where she's got breast cancer. We'll change it to something else. Or maybe she's fine." Unquote. The storyline question takes place after Thor is deemed unworthy of Mjolnir, and his title is Thor. The hammer finds its way to Jane Foster, who has been diagnosed with breast cancer. She is worthy, and the hammer allows her to become Thor. And while the transformation means that she doesn't have cancer when she's in the superpowered state, the transformation destroys the chemo that her human form still needs to fight the cancer. The Thor: Love and Thunder has a release date of November 5th, 2021. Now, let me take a quick break here and wet my whistle, and we'll go on to the DC news. Hey everyone, we'll get right back to the news, but first, I'd like to tell you about our new affiliate, Stitcher Premium. With Stitcher Premium, you get all your favorite podcasts, but you get them all with no ads. That's right, no audio ads, no banner ads, not even ads on the archives of some of your favorite shows. You also get access to Stitch originals like Marvel's Wolverine, The Long Night, Issa Rae's Fruit, and Colt Cabana's Pro Wrestling Fringe. You also get access to bonus episodes, access to new releases first, and access to the hundreds of comedy albums at your fingertips, and so much more. To get started, just go to Stitcher.com/premium and enter promo code Multiverse for a free month. After that, pay just $4.99 a month, and you can save even more by going yearly for just $34.99. That's nearly a $25 savings over the monthly rate. So go to Stitcher.com/premium and enter promo code Multiverse today. And thanks again to Stitcher for being an affiliate with our show. We do get a little kickback every subscriber. So please feel free to go ahead, subscribe to that for 1 month. Try it out, kick the tires, and who knows, maybe this will be something that you'll really like. Anyway, DC news. Have you watched the new Watchmen series yet? Watchmen creator Alan Moore, who's not a fan of the series, well, to be truthful, he's not a fan of any produced work of his. On the BBC Six show, Paperback Writers, graphic content revealed that I'm just going to start this whole freaking segment again. And now, for the DC news. Now, have you watched Watchmen yet? Now, Watchmen creator Alan Moore, who's not a fan of the series, now, to be technical, he's not a fan of any produced work. He prefers that you read his stuff, not watch his stuff. Anyway, on the BBC Six show, Paperback Writers, graphic content revealed that Terry Gilliam, who was planning on doing a movie version of Watchmen back in the late 80s, early 90s, before deciding that it was just unfilmable, told Mr. Moore that he had received phone calls from singer David Bowie, who wanted to play the role of Rorschach. Someplace in another universe, you can see that version. Anyone got Rick Sanchez's number? Now, as you know, it was Zack Snyder who eventually made Watchmen, which Alan Moore didn't like well. That's okay. Alan, like a lot of us, didn't like that cut that we got of Justice League. Fans have been asking for the so-called Snyder cut of the movie since the movie first came out. Now they've raised the call again, and this time they're using it to raise money and awareness for suicide prevention as well. The group has raised over $100,000 for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. They've also made banners, posters, and had gatherings as well. Zack Snyder shared an article from the AFSP website about it on Twitter and commented, quote, "I'm honored to have such amazing fans," unquote. Now, no word on whether Warner Brothers, whether the Snyder Cut will ever see the light of day, although I'm sure they could make millions if they did. Come on, Warner Brothers. You know you want that money. Just open up that vault. Put it out there. Limited release. $100 a DVD. You'd probably make a fortune. Just saying. And if you do that, be sure to cut the check too. Anyway, mental health and suicide prevention kind of go hand in hand, and recently, Batwoman star Ruby Rose opened up about her own battles with depression as part of Mental Health Day. Ruby took to Instagram with a photo of herself from a hospital bed taken in the days before she joined the cast of Orange is the New Black, with the post, quote, "Today is World Mental Health Day. This photo is from right before I started OITNB. I've struggled with mental health my entire life. I was first diagnosed with depression at 13, then major depressive disorder at 16. When I was 18, I found out I had dissociative amnesia. I had a few years entirely erased from my memory, and the chance run-in with my best friend from primary school was the first I learned about it. She remembered me, but I didn't remember her at all. She remembered our teachers, things We did, and my monkey backpack. Things I didn't remember even when she said them with such an instant conviction. I went home and asked my mum, did I have a monkey backpack at school? That is when it all started to unravel and my life changed. I started asking questions. I found out. I went from a smiling, laughing child to a quiet mute who sat alone and stared off into the distance during recess after one of many traumatic events that I didn't remember. One that my mum had to tell me about, but hadn't been for so many years because the doctors at the time said I was too young to process what had happened and that it was for the best. I was also diagnosed with bipolar for a long time until it turned out I just had depression. The pure, sad depression without the fun and not so fun parts of mania. It was an overactive thyroid that created that misdiagnosis. Cut to many dark times. On medication, off medication, on and off, per each wrong diagnosis. There were hospitalizations, suicide attempts as young as 12. Cut to therapy and meditation. Cut to seeing me at every self-help section of every bookstore. Cut to a brain scan which showed I had suffered severe PTSD. Cut to more therapy and tests that led to my final diagnosis. C. PTSD. Complex PTSD. What I have learned from the struggles of mental health is just how strong I am. It's how amazing people are because they love me and support me, and yet you can't judge those who don't understand and don't know how to do that either. It's that you cannot judge people at all because you can never know what they have been through. It's that self-love and self-care is more important than anything else." Unquote. Her series Batwoman has been doing well in the ratings. It dropped 22% from week 1 to week 2 and has about 1.5 million viewers. The Batman has lost 1 star but gained another. Jonah Hill has apparently left the movie for reasons unknown. However, news has come out that Zoe Kravitz has been tapped to play Selina Kyle, otherwise known as Catwoman. Zoe Kravitz has previously acted in Big Little Lies and Mad Max Fury Road. Now, I kind of question why we need to see Catwoman again. Hopefully, she'll just be playing Selina Kyle. You know, we've seen Catwoman enough times. We even had that terrible movie. You know, just saying, maybe we put Catwoman, you know, back over here someplace and just let her exist, you know, 4 or 5 movies down the row. Anyway, one of the controversies of Joker was the use of Gary Glitter's Rock and Roll Part 2. The song has been controversial since 2015, when Mr. Glitter was convicted of multiple sex crimes involving kids and sentenced to a 16-year sentence. Since then, the song has been persona non grata. However, if you're worried that Gary would be profiting from Joker's success, good news. Gary will see no money. According to an update to a report on theconsequenceofsound.com, quote, "A representative for Snapper Music, which owns the rights to Glitter's catalog in the UK, disputes reporting that Glitter will receive any profits from the song's use. Gary Glitter does not get paid," a representative told the Los Angeles Times. "We've had no contact with him." Unquote. Or, continuing, nevertheless, the New York Post reports that Warner Brothers may remove the song from future releases. Unquote. So don't worry, your ticket money isn't going to go pay for a pedophile. And, you know, it's been quite a haul for that movie at the ticket office, as Joker is Warner Brothers' highest grossing movie of the year worldwide. And it's been number 1 all over the world. However, it's got a long way to go to beat Disney, and it's losing steam with Maleficent. Yeah, can't speak, people. It's a hard word to say coming off those. Anyway, let's go. It's losing steam to Maleficent, which took the weekend box office. And we'll get to those numbers in a little bit. By the way, did you see the Joker movie parody that Saturday Night Live did? Instead of Joker, it was Oscar the Grouch. Very cute. I'll have a link to it in the show notes, or just go Google it. It's very funny. We have a bit of casting news here. Wayne Brady will be playing a recurring character on Black Lightning. The game show host will play Tyson Gravedigger Sykes, described as a World War II era member of the U.S. military who was turned into a superhuman fighting machine by secret lab experiments. So, Captain America. Apparently, Sykes refused to live in the still segregated U.S. South after the war, and instead defected to Markovia with the aim of creating a metahuman nation there. This set him up for confrontations with ASA and Black Lightning. Wonder Woman's 750th issue will be coming out on January 22nd, 2020. The issue will be 96 pages in the prestige format and will be a jam book with interior art from Colleen Doran, Jesus Marino, Elena Casagarde, Gabriel Piccolo, and Wonder Woman Rebirth illustrator Nicholas Scott, with stories from Gail Simone, Greg Rucka, Steve Orlando, Vida Alea, Marguerite Bennett, Jeff Loveness, Cami Garcia, Marco Tamika, Shannon and Dean Hale, and others. There will also be variant covers based on every decade starting in the 40s. And that one will be done by Joshua Middleton, the 50s cover by Jenny Friesen, the 60s cover by J. Scott Campbell, the 70s cover by Olivia Coppel, the 80s cover by George Perez, the 90s by Brian Boland, the 2000s by Adam Hughes, and the present 2010s by Jim Lee and Scott Williams. The issue will have a hefty price tag of $9.99. So to get all those varied issues, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, you're looking at $80. So you might want to save your Christmas money. And I'm sure that'll make your comic book shop owner happy. Let's get on with the geek news. Kevin Smith is currently out touring with his new movie Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which, by the way, I went to see during the Fathom Events presentation last week, and it's a good movie. Lots of laughs. Now, before they went on tour, Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes got the honor of putting their hands and feet in wet cement outside the TCL Chinese Theater. Kevin told the crowd about his first visit to the theater, saying, quote, "We came here into the courtyard in 1979. My old man was looking at the footprints, and he saw me looking at the footprints and putting my hands in the handprints and stuff, and he goes, 'Maybe you'll be here one day.' It's 40 years from that moment when my father said it." Kevin even brought an urn with his dad's ashes to the ceremony and put an imprint of the bottom of the urn in the cement. Mewes called it super surreal to be honored by the theater. They were also honored by Ben Affleck as well. Well deserved. Good job, guys. And you remember the runtime. You remember the runtime for it and how I said you should find a theater with recliner seats? Well, you might want to do the same for the adaptation of Dr. Sleep. Stephen, I gotta redo that. Hold on a second. You remember the run? When I told you the runtime for Star Wars and the Sci-Fi Edition, and how I said it would probably be a good idea to find a theater with the recliner seats, something comfortable. Well, you might want to do the same for the adaptation of Dr. Sleep, Stephen King's sequel to The Shining. The AMC website has confirmed that the runtime for the movie is 2 hours and 32 minutes. I might recommend not getting that big drink either. Yeah. You know, if movies get any longer, I think they should put in intermissions somewhere around the hour and a half mark. You know, let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby and have ourselves a pee. Anyway, sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that Sony studio chairman Tom Rothman might be looking to sell the He-Man movie Masters of the Universe exclusively to Netflix. Sony has been developing Masters of the Universe since 2007, and Netflix does have the She-Ra and He-Man animated series. These rumors come at a month after Sony sold off the adaptation of the Valiant comic Harbinger. Well, if something does happen, we'll let you know. Magic the Gathering, the card game that has been running for decades now, will be releasing a new expansion in the first third of 2020, one called Theros Beyond Death, and the other is called Ikora Lair of the Behemoths. Theros comes out on January 24th, and Ikora on April 24th. Check with your local dealer as some participating locations will be having pre-release access to the new card sets on the weekend before the release dates. Now, I have a friend who's probably very happy to hear this news. Netflix will be producing an animated series based on Jeff Smith's comic book series Bone. Jeff Smith, in the press release, said, quote, "I've waited a long time for this. Netflix is the perfect home for Bone. Fans of the books know that the story develops chapter by chapter and book by book. An animated series is exactly the way to do this. The team at Netflix understands Bone and is committed to doing something special. This is good news for kids and cartoon lovers all over the world." Unquote. Bone, which follows the adventures of the Bone Cousins, was published from 1991 to 2004 and is one of Time Magazine's best 10 graphic novels of all time. Now, we can't end this episode without saying goodbye to the creator of Saved by the Bell, Sam Bobrick. According to the Hollywood Reporter, he had a stroke on Friday, October the 11th. As well as creating Saved by the Bell, he wrote for such shows as Get Smart, The Flintstones, The Andy Griffith Show, and The Dick Van Dyke Show. Recently, he had been working on a reboot of Saved by the Bell for NBC's Peacock streaming service. Sam was 87. So let's take a look back at this week's box office. And the one thing to note here is that Kevin Smith's Jay and Silent Bob is actually on the chart, but you can't see it in this list. It's way down there, but for being in only a handful of theaters, that's pretty good. Anyway, let's start at number 13 this week. Ad Astra fell from number 10 to number 13. Jexy went from number 9 to number 12. Parasite, which is apparently a new movie or a recent movie, went from number 15 to number 11, so it actually gained. It, Chapter 2, fell from number 8 to number 10. So it lost approximately 53% of its audience. And 775 theaters, that's pretty much. Total gross so far is like $209 million domestically. Hustlers went from number 6 to number 9. Judy came from number 7 to number 8. Downton Abbey went from number 5 to number 7. Abominable went from number 4 to number 6. Will Smith's Gemini Man fell dramatically from number 3 to number 5. That is over 60% of a change from week to week. It's right now has $36 million. The Addams Family also tumbled. I guess everyone went to see it last week, and that was it. Went from number 2 to number 4, and that's even adding 95 theaters to its run. So In other words, if it didn't have those 95 theaters, it probably would have fallen even farther. Zombieland 2 Double Tap debuts at number 3, which is not bad, but that does lend credence to the it's been too long to put out this movie. You know, where the audience has moved on. You need to re-release the original first, and then show them this one, or at least get that first movie up on you know Fox or NBC or something, so people can see it and remember. Anyway, Joker fell from number 1 to number 2, and that was nearly 50%. So it's doing well. It does have for just a couple weeks release $247 million domestically. So it's doing well, but who knows if it'll fall farther next week. And the number 1 was the sequel to Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, which brought in $36.9 million in its opening. So, bravo there. And that will bring us to the end of our show for this week. Now, be sure to check us out on our social media. We're at Twitter at Multiverse Tom, and on Facebook and Instagram as well. And if you'd like to contribute to the show, so I don't have to run, sponsorship ads of any kind, please visit mtpodcast.com to go to our Coffee or Patreon as well. And be sure to visit multiversetonight.com and check out the affiliate marketplace links, the link to our TeePublic store, show notes, and so much more. Now, if you're a subscriber, please be sure to share us with your friends. And if you're brand new to the show, please be sure to subscribe and leave us with some feedback and let us know how we're doing in general. Special thanks to Shane Ivers for our intro music and Lobo Loco for our outro music. Now, thanks for watching the comic book edition of Multiverse Tonight. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the sci-fi edition and that very special interview that I told you about at the top of the show. Now, please, exit the universe in an orderly fashion. Good night. Multiverse Tonight is a production of Half Baked Genre Productions. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved. Oy, I'm giving myself such a headache. Anyway, if you're spinning this up later on Twitch or YouTube, thanks for sticking around, and have a super sparkly day.